Welcome, everyone. Hello, all. Today's episode is our favorites. And in case you... Oh, we got even more of an echo going. And in case you're new here, we like to talk about a director, an actor, a collection, a genre, any kind of set of movies, and we break down our favorites inside said collection. And today we're doing a director. Oh, we're doing a classic director. All you film snobs, get your pinkies in the air because it starts with a P2. Did you see that little horrible transition?
Just keep going.
Paul Thomas Anderson, ladies and gentlemen.
Is he related to Wes Anderson?
No.
Is he?
Have you ever seen them in the same place together?
I think
Probably.
they must.
They might be the
I've
same
never-
person.
There's no way Anderson is a common name. They have to be cousins.
Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Anderson. Which one?
Sure.
No, there's out of so many movies to choose for. We each have our own favorites. And
So many. There's 9.
Yeah.
there's a lot. That's a lot of movies.
It's not
He did
a
have
little,
a big gap of not doing anything in like
He
the
has a
early
couple.
2000s.
Couple. From my pick to his pick,
Is like
5 years.
9 years.
From
That was
his pick
5?
to the next movie, 5 years.
Is it really?
Yeah.
He
I thought it
is
was
very-
like-
From
it
your
was like
pick to
3.
his most recent movie was 4.
I know he is more selected about.
Oh, yeah, it was. No, 5. 2020? No, 2020.
Wait, how? Okay, really quick before we get into this, how old is he now? Because like, if he's been making movies for so
Well,
long, he's got to be what?
Dating Maya Rudolph.
He's married to Maya Rudolph.
Is he married
He's
to her?
what?
Yeah. They've been married a while.
How did I
She's
not
in
know
a couple of
that?
his
I didn't
movies.
know they were married.
I think so. He is 52.
He
52.
does not look 52.
Yeah.
In
Wow.
this picture he does.
Hmm.
He looks sad.
That looks like
When he
that
was
looks like a
younger-
Victorian painting.
When he was
Can
younger,
you-
he looked like Chris Davis.
Can you
The
please?
white Chris Davis in baseball. There's 2. One's with a K and one's with a C. The one with the C has like one of the worst deals ever, and they're still paying him even though he retired.
Really quick, can you please send that picture to Jake so when he edits this, he can put that picture on the screen? But anyway, so I'm starting today's episode off, and out of all those movies, mine is pretty obvious. It's There Will Be Blood. I've abandoned my child! I've abandoned my boy! The iconic movie that started with, like 15 minutes of silence.
Yeah,
I remember the first...
it's about
Is it-
it's about
it's-
15-20 minutes.
I was going to say, it's long. I remember the first time I
silver
watched...
mining, isn't he?
He's mining
And
for something.
He's silver mining, and that's where he hurts his leg and
Mhm.
strikes.
Yep.
That's where all the oil stuff starts.
Mm-hmm. I just remember because so the first time I heard this, this is supposed to be a really good movie. Let's get into this. Let's try to watching it. And you want to know how I was starting to watch it for the first time? On my phone. In my college dorm, just laying on my bed, I'm like, what the heck am I watching? When it was quiet for so long, it was just on my phone. I'm like, all right, this ain't gonna work. I had to turn it off, and I think I didn't like try watching it again for like another month or two, and then I watched it on a TV, and I'm like, okay, and I was like in the right headspace, or I knew what I was getting into.
Not entirely quiet, is it? It's got some violin, doesn't it?
There's no
Music.
dialogue.
There's no dialogue.
There's no dialogue. My bad. When I said
I was
quiet,
I was trying to. It was
yeah.
confusing me because I was like, I remember a violin.
Yes, no, that's what I meant. Is that there's no dialogue,
Oh, that music.
but the music.
Johnny Greenwood.
Oh my god, the music is so good.
Is he the composer for all the PTAs?
A lot of them, not all of them.
And this is the first movie I watched with Paul Dano in it. And
Really?
yeah, it is. And this is where I'm just like, holy crap, this guy's good. That's like, after this, I'm just like, oh, let's like, that's why I was so excited for the Batman. I'm like, oh, we're going to get unbridled Dano. Let's go, baby.
No, you want unbridled Dano, you watched Looper.
Wait, he was in Looper? Who is he in Looper again?
He's the best friend.
Real? Wow, I was seeing Looper a second. He's really good in Looper. And he's also great in Swiss Army Man, too.
And Okja.
That's right.
Yeah, he's just good. But yeah, I mean, everything. I mean, this movie is probably an absolute masterclass in just filmmaking in general. Like just everything from the directing. What stands out to me the most is that directing / editing. It's where did he edit this movie himself? He probably has somebody else working on it, I guess.
Doubt it.
But I just think the way that everything is paced out from the slow moving beginning of him breaking his leg and just going and finding oil, that chunk, that setup lays the groundwork for like an hour and a half into the movie where him and Dano are getting into like screaming matches in front of like the oil well. Like everything about like how everything sets everything else up. And I think it does it so perfectly.
It's just all rising tension until
that's exactly what it is.
The most memorable scenes ever.
Oh my God.
That might be my favorite movie ending of all time.
Really?
I can just keep watching it. It's so good. And it's one of those things, it's great on its own. And it is a million times better with the rest of the movie behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And that last line.
Oh my God.
I'm finished. And then the strings kick in the and the title shows up.
I know. There's something, and I know it's obviously just a title at the end. There's something about when it works. Putting the title at the end is such like a perfect button on top. Like a chair, like it's like, oh, you just finally even let your breath out, and then it's just like the title. There will be blood, because there was blood on a flippin' bowling pin. Like out of everything for him to beat him with, I wasn't expecting. Well, yeah, but spoilers. If you haven't seen this, at the end,
and his face where he's, and then just. He's making this like odd. Oh man,
he's so good. Like, oh my God,
I miss Daniel Day-Lewis.
It's been 5 years.
That's what I was about to ask. When was the last thing he's been in?
Phantom Thread.
Really, that was the last thing he's been in.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
that was announced when the movie was announced. They said it'll be his last role.
He did some good movies.
I get it though, because like
New York.
He's
good.
He's great.
He's menacing.
But like, that's the thing is like I feel like he lives his life. Like what was he? He makes shoes in Italy, I think. Is that
something?
Like he does his thing, and when he gets Paul or one of his like friends that calls him, it's like, yo, I got this role. I think you're gonna get into it.
Yes, that's exactly what they say to me.
That in my head.
So wait,
that's exactly how the conversation.
He's a cobbler.
What's up? You want to stop cobbling and how about hobble over here and
so
be in my movie?
So he basically is a real life Reynolds Woodcock for shoes.
Probably. Someone brings him his tea at the wrong time. It's like, what is it? The tea is gone, but what is the line?
The tea is gone, but the interruption is still there in my mind.
Yeah,
he hides things in the soles of the shoes that only he knows are there, which is a really creepy, eerie, wonderful thing in that movie. But that's a different thing. We're talking about There Will Be Blood.
Yeah, it's just
There Will Be Blood. My first interaction, I didn't watch it. I don't think the year it came out. I think probably watched it in 2000. So I watched it in 2008.
Yeah, I watched it when I was in college, so it was like 2014, 2015.
It was a meme for me first because my roommates watched it before I did, and they got stuck on the I drink your milkshake. I drink it up. I take my straw and I put it in your.
No, you forgot the my straw reaches across the room and stops to drink your milkshake.
He just gets so into it, and it's like you're saying it's memeable. It is memeable.
But it's still good. Like, it's not memeable in a bad way.
It's so good. You laugh how good it is. Because people, I think I've laughed at... I laugh when it's really good acting and people interpret it as, is this bad? It's like, no, I'm just having such a great time watching something.
I mean, and that's how an unhinged person acts.
Yeah, that's exactly like...
Did you think your song, your dance, and your superstition would help you? I am the third revelation. I am who the Lord has chosen. He's throwing bowling balls and Paul Daniels going, we're brothers, Daniel!
That's impressive. You remember all the lines.
I told you, it's probably my favorite movie ending of all time.
It's That's a really good point. Like laughing at like, and the other thing is like I laugh, like I would like laugh at something like this because it makes me uncomfortable. Because just the way he's so extra and so just into that character, I'm like, I hope he's not real and coming after me.
It's 2.5 hours of rising tension. All the stuff with his son, and his son, he's basically
I didn't even touch on his son.
He's just basically disowned his son
Yeah.
by the end there, and just everything, and he's hungover and he's lonely, and finally this what's a good word to describe?
It's like
it's Eli Sunday.
Eli,
how do we describe? Like he's just so
what's a good word to use? He's a prick.
Yeah, it's a bit. I don't know. The point, like skulky almost.
Yeah.
Here's this like skulky person who has just made his life so difficult. He's basically killing the economy in this town.
Absolutely.
But in the movie, as I've talked with people, it's about the two of the most powerful people at the time, which were religious leaders and oilmen, and they're clashing at all these points. And then you get to this point where all this buildup and all this frustration and being hungover and kind of out, beside himself, and he's just had it. It's like, great, this little skulky guy, he's back. And he's asking for money to sell the Bandy land because it's the one plot that wouldn't sell. And that's where the milkshake thing comes in, where he's trying to say, oh, you don't know how this works? I just bought all the land around it, and all that oil's gone. Because remember,
just
drainage, Eli, you boy. Drain dry. I'm so sorry. I used to be able to do the whole scene because remember, there's two Paul Danos in this because he plays Paul, the twin brother, in that one scene. In which
he does.
If I go all the way down there and I go on, there's no oil. I'm going to find you. I'm going to get more than my money back. He gets to that point and he's like, you're not the chosen one. You're like, it was Paul. Paul's the chosen one. He's the smart one.
Oh my God. Just hearing you do actually a pretty good voice when it comes to that.
Oh, thanks.
Which is where I can hear him talking, just like it just like when his energy that he brings to it just gets like sent through the screen, and you just get that energy into you.
It's one of the greatest movie performances ever.
Oh my God.
So I will say that I've only seen it once, and when I bought it on DVD. Whenever. And when I watched it, one of the things that I felt the whole thing was just frustration because it was the first Paul Thomas Anderson movie I'd ever seen. And I didn't really understand at that point how he kind of constructs his movies.
That's fair.
So this entire time I'm watching this movie called There Will Be Blood, and I'm expecting
it's like, where's all the
I'm expecting there to be some kind of like physical content. Oh wow. Conflict. And it just keeps building and building and building.
He drags him through the mud in one scene, and the other scene, the baptism scene, where he's slapping him around.
Oh yeah, that's
which a friend, if he's listening, I hope you're listening. He always told me, turn on subtitles to hear what Daniel's saying while Eli is screaming at him.
Yeah, that's
way
smart.
funnier.
Huh?
It's hilarious. Like it's just man.
But anyway, all of that buildup, it just like I remember feeling very frustrated, and then at the end, where everything comes to a point, it's a very good movie.
It's just so satisfying. Like the most important thing about movies to me is the ending. Like you have to end it well. This is how you do it. It absolutely is.
Yeah, real quick, it ties into our Bill Murray episode because this was the other one. Remember, I mentioned watching double featured with Lost in Translation, whether that was the same night or back-to-back nights.
It's a hell of a double
at 17.
Double feature.
one is like this empty feeling, and the other one is this tense, empty. Like it's two of my favorite movies back to back. Those are the times when you first start getting into movies, and you're like, your eyes open and like, there's more than just Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yes, there is. There's more movies than just the MCU. So, Jake.
Yes?
Your movie, Paul Thomas Anderson, he didn't direct an MCU movie, did he?
Oh, yeah, I totally did.
What is the MCU movie that he directed?
So, you guys, I got to be honest here. I was thinking about it today. And I was like, you know what? I'm not really a Paul Thomas Anderson fan. Because I've only seen 3 of his movies. There Will Be Blood, The Master, and my pick, which I'm not going to announce yet.
Oh, I got build the attention.
You can spoil it. I know I did it to you last week.
I'll let you have this. Have this.
So There Will Be Blood. Like, I can recognize that it's very good, but I don't like it. Like, it's not like I'm gonna sit down.
It's not like a rewatchable.
I'm not gonna sit. I'm gonna sit down and watch There Will Be Blood.
I don't think anybody ever says it like that. Let's watch There Will Be Blood.
I think Jared does. And then The Master, I don't really like at all. Like,
interesting. That's fair.
He knows why. I don't think I've told you, but it doesn't matter for this discussion.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter in that discussion either. Sorry.
Huh?
You just
try to devalue my opinion.
Keep going.
Jerk face.
Master hater.
I'll take that
sounded very close to something else.
Shut up.
My favorite is Phantom Thread. I think that this is his best movie.
Do explain why. I would love to know.
Oh, I just watched it today. It's so wonderful and quiet, and
didn't he shoot that himself? Didn't his director of photography leave and he had to?
He decided to do it as a collaborative process.
Okay.
So there's no cinematographer credited. Unlike a certain director who did Roma.
I know, yeah. Cuarón did.
PTA was like, no, I might have done a chunk of this, but it was a collaborative effort with a bunch of people.
That's so cool.
I think he might have done it for Licorice Pizza as well. I don't remember. But I remember that being a big deal of him saying, this isn't just me. And I like that.
Yeah, because that's just movie making in general. It's more collaborative than you think, but...
Hold on, I'm pulling up my review that I wrote today.
Oh, yeah.
I said it a little bit more succinctly than I am now.
All right.
It's so classic and crisp, and just the way it's filmed, like the angles of like his head, like one of the, I think probably the more famous shots where he's brushing his head at the very beginning, his hair. To the way that they film cars when they drive in them, like they're very close on the back, which screams older movie to me. Everything about it is just so very poetic. The one thing we always talk about when we talk about it is the score. So the movie is about a man that is a dressmaker, and he's one of the most famous dressmakers. So his hidden messages into the...
What's his name again?
Reynolds Woodcock.
I believe that was a half joke where he said it in a podcast, I think, where he asked Daniel Day-Lewis like what name, and Daniel Day-Lewis said that, being serious but also kind of like joking, and they just stuck with it.
Really?
What do we say, Jake? Never tell jokes. Except in this case, it worked out perfect because that name is perfect for that character.
Yes. But so he makes these dresses, and there's these famous dresses. And it's interesting how the score, I mean, Jared can talk about the score for days and days and days. It's interesting how the score pulls you in and reflects how these women that are having these dresses made for them are made to feel as they are wearing the dresses. Comfortable and elegant.
Makes sense.
And it's just this, like There Will Be Blood, it's just this giant crescendo of tension until it has one of my favorite movie endings ever.
Oh!
You see, that's what I feel like
seen it?
I've not seen it, no.
I don't want to spoil it.
Are you talking about the look?
I'm talking about that whole scene.
Oh, there was a moment for when the only time I've seen it is in theaters, and at that moment, it's like most of the way I'm like, where is this going? Like, I really like this. What is the direction? And in that one moment, all it is a look that really that clinches the scene for me. And the second the look is made and the action happens, I go,
that's what it's about, kind of thing.
Oh!
It also has one of the most haunting scenes I've ever put to screen that I've ever seen.
Interesting.
This is weird. It's not a horror. This is not really a spoiler, right? Dude has a lot of mommy issues.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
I love it. I love it dearly. But dude has a lot of mommy issues. So there's one scene, I believe he's sick. It's the first time he gets sick or the second time he gets sick?
first.
Okay. So the first time he gets sick, he's laying in bed. No one's in the room with him. And
and the only lighting is the fireplace flickering.
Yep.
Ooh, they're
and
very
the camera is going across the room. And it's a pretty big room. So it's a pretty slow pan.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a door. His mother is just standing there in Victorian. His mother's dead, by the way.
Oh,
she's just standing there staring at him in Victorian garb, and you're like,
well, it's the wedding dress from the picture.
So is this like?
yeah.
So
There's
this
a
sounds like
picture-
it's pretty haunting and scary in
it's-
parts.
He keeps a picture of his mother in a wedding dress. He made the dress for her when he was like 5 or something, right? So he has this picture, and
Yeah,
she's like 18. So here she or something like that, or like 20. I don't remember. She's really young. And he's this little kid who makes a dress for her wedding. And so there she is, that age from the picture, and it's a person. And not like looking ghostly, just looking like a person.
yeah, just standing
In the
there.
dress, and she just stands there and stares at him. She doesn't move. She doesn't say anything.
I feel like that's always
It's
scarier when it.
terrifying. And
And then
Dickey
someone
Krebs'
walks
character walks in and is talking to him while she doesn't go away.
and you
Oh.
like because
I
horror,
feel like I can picture this in my head, and it gives me the heebie-jeebies.
it's so much better than what you think in your head. Because of modern horror has conditioned us for a jump scare, you're constantly like,
Well, that's what I think is the.
Waiting for it.
but in the back of your head, you're also like, this is not this type of movie. It's like it's not going to happen.
Mhm.
But it just
That's what.
and like it's so much better. The movie itself is so much better on a second watch because you realize that the thing that happens at the end, it was building up to it the entire time. Like I didn't realize.
Yeah, be careful.
And I'm trying to figure out how to word it.
I will say that's actually. I'll let you finish it unless you're going to say a spoiler.
I didn't realize that thing that happened at the end was happening the entire movie.
You see that I
Like
was.
5 years since I've seen it, so
I will say to your point, to your exact point, I love when movies, shows, anything can.
When the end reframes the whole thing and then you watch the whole thing again and you're like,
Yes.
oh,
It's
this
like,
is better now.
oh, it makes sense. They actually were, in fact, leading up to that. Like, I love it when they can do that, but do it well.
You know, one person I really latched on to this time that I didn't the first time, Cyril.
that's his sister, right?
Yeah.
Leslie Manville is so good.
Funny.
That's a,
But everyone is restrained in this movie. Like there's no big screaming, yelling scene, Oscar baity scene. It's just
there's no my boy.
kinda,
Like, there is, like, he yells at her a lot.
but not like the scene. It's
Yeah.
just part of his character.
I would say,
It's not Jennifer Lawrence throwing cereal on the floor. And, where's my Oscar?
hey, you be careful.
She's the second worst part of that movie.
I still love it.
Can love it. And I still like it.
No, the scene where she sends everybody home and he comes home from the walk with the asparagus. That's, I would guess that.
Out of context, that sounds so confusing. The walk with the asparagus.
No,
I just want you to know that it sounds so confusing out of context.
He's set. Not. I wouldn't even call it set in his ways. How would you describe him?
He is tethered to a routine and does not break away from it. Because
makes
the
sense.
routine is what gives him the vision and the energy to make his dresses.
Interesting.
So it's like if he sticks to his schedule, everything works out. He doesn't like deviating from it. And Dickey Krebs' character is basically his muse, but also like breaking it. It's a thing where you think it's going to be, she's messing up and then she's going to kind of conform to it. But it's not that kind of movie.
So there's one point in the movie where she wants to connect with him. So she sends all the servants in the house home and Cyril home, and not home, but away. And so she makes him dinner, but she makes it wrong and they get in this whole fight because the asparagus is wrong. It's far more layered than what I'm making.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
It is just, like, I can't even like describe how engrossing this movie is.
I feel like that's really impressive when you can make a very small mistake, just like cooking asparagus wrong, mean a lot for characters. Like there's something to be said about that, being able to do that like with a script or with anything like that.
And then one of my favorite just instances in the movie is there's okay, so he's a dressmaker, right? He's making this dress for this older woman who is she's not a good looking woman, and he's trying to make her look pretty.
Okay.
Makes her a beautiful dress, gets drunk at her wedding, passes out. They put her to bed in the dress, and he sends Alma, the muse, to go in and take off the dress while she is passed out in the bed because they are not allowed to act a certain way when they're wearing his clothes.
Interesting.
But the music, as she's taking it off, is playful and like fun. And it's like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be laughing at this because this is really weird and intense, but like it's got fun music. I don't all right. I know. I really do need to watch this. I really, really do.
All right. So, Jared.
Yes.
We are on to you. What is your favorite movie from Paul Thomas Anderson?
Okay. It's Adam Sandler's best performance. He's great as a part of the Meyerowitz stories. One of his big comeback roles is Uncut Gems.
Oh, of course.
Everyone's talked about. I've heard the new Hustle movie on Netflix is actually pretty good.
Really?
Yeah. I've heard it's actually decent. It's one of those things where he's starting to do more serious roles, just not his normal.
More power to him.
But back in 2002, Paul Thomas Anderson gave us Punch Drunk Love, Sandler's real first like serious starring vehicle. And it's so good. I've seen it 3 or 4 times. I watched it recently, like a month ago, and it's got such a great. One, it looks great. The color scheme is great. It perfectly matches John Bryan's score because the first scene has him it's actually pretty. It's a funny movie too. It's like there's a truck rolls over. He walks out of his warehouse office. He goes to the road. Early in the morning, a truck like crashes and rolls over. Another van pulls up. They drop what is that thing called? It's not a piano. It's like a little mini organ. What is that thing called?
A mini organ? It's a piano.
It's like it uses a pump, and it sounds very.
I think it's called a pump organ.
It's not an organ.
I have literally no clue what instrument you're saying.
Harmonium.
Yeah.
It's a harmonium, but it makes harmonies. So they just drop it off and drive away.
Yeah.
And that just becomes it's not like a plot point. It's just he brings it in his office playing it. It's symbolic.
Oh, yeah.
But like that's part of the music and just.
Interesting.
Basically, he's super socially awkward. And I would be too because you meet his sisters. He's got like 8 of them.
Holy Toledo.
And they are awful. They treat him like dirt. There's a scene early where they're having a party and he doesn't want to go, but they kind of all bully him into going. It's a funny scene where he's trying to sell these because he has like a novelty business he runs, and Luis Guzman is like one of the guys who works there, and he's trying to sell these like special plungers, and the phone rings. They say bury your sisters on line 1 or whatever. And he answers it. You coming tonight? Yeah, sure, And he gets off the phone and he goes back over and another call, bury your sisters on the line. And it's a different sister.
Oh my God.
And he gets there and they are, it's not like a typical movie where they're like yelling and screaming at him the whole time. It's one of the things where they're like telling embarrassing stories and kind of, picking on him in their own way. And if we all have siblings, so it's kind of in that way, but it's a lot nastier. And they're all adults too, and they're acting like this.
Yeah.
And it's he just super awkward and has just no one to kind of talk to.
Confide himself.
Thank you, confided. And he meets.
I have good words sometimes.
And he meets Emily Watson.
Oh, okay.
And they begin a romance of sorts. There's a lot of other bumps along the way. Before he meets her, he calls a phone sex line because he's lonely, and it's one of those scenes where it's a long take and there's a lot of camera movement, but it's not like fast. It's just following around his small apartment on the phone. It's not letting you get away from this, and it's not like it's super sexual on his end because, she'll say something, but then he's just kind of being his socially awkward self, and it's a little funny, but it's really sad. And it just kind of doesn't let you escape from this scene, and it is a little uncomfortable, but it's, if anything, you just pity him. And that starts a whole chain of events. There's also something about him buying a lot of pudding.
What?
Pudding.
He finds a loophole in what is it? I've already forgot the company, but it's like you get frequent flyer miles for how many of their items you buy, and he finds like the cheapest item, which is the pudding, which is like 80 cents or something, and realizes if he buys a ton of pudding, he could have like unlimited miles. He just starts buying a ton of pudding. It's based off a real guy finding a loophole and getting like unlimited flyer miles.
I feel like I've actually heard about that story before.
So it's a bunch of little different things. There's a similar scene to There Will Be Blood. There Will Be Blood, you have the oil derrick scene with all the percussion instruments going off in that score. It's a different person doing the score, but there's a similar scene where there's a lot of percussion and like random sound effects, seemingly random, when it's like all these storylines kind of bumping into each other in the middle of the movie too.
Interesting.
Where he's trying to do stuff at work, and it's just you're in his head. Your overstimulation.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was driving me nuts. I loved it. And it's just it's basically PTA saying because he had just come off of making Boogie Nights and Magnolia, two big, long ensemble movies, where he's like, I'm going to do something small. And it's makes smaller, sense. It's shorter, it's like 96 minutes.
Really? Wow, I didn't know it was that short.
It's one of those things where it never feels bad cheesy, and even the cheese is just so wholesome. And it feels real, too. But there's parts of it that feel like a fairy tale, like a modern fairy tale, too. Just the way it's told. And I mean, you got Philip Seymour Hoffman screaming "shut up" into a phone at him. And it's so, again, a wide range of emotions. And when I watched it the first time, I loved it, of course. I really saw myself as this character. I don't call phone sex lines.
What, Jared? You don't? Really?
No, and I don't sell plungers.
Oh, man.
I do buy pudding, but
I definitely pegged you as that kind of person.
You buy zebra cakes.
Ooh, zebra cakes. But just, of course, I loved it. And I showed my friends like a year or two after that, and they loved it too, because they all related to Barry. That's Adam Sandler's character again. But then I hadn't watched it in like 7 years. Mm-hmm. And just when a group of us watched it together like a month or two ago, I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is even better than I remember. It's like, it's a classic. You get older and notice more, but also just like, the last time I watched this, I had seen probably half as many movies as I have now. It's so much better. I
feel like that's like a lot of PTA's movies. I feel like they age really well.
And as another friend has said, like, PTA's sense of humor and comedic writing is way underrated. His movies can be really funny. They're not comedies.
It's usually like underhanded comedy. Like I feel like kind of slid in the back. It's just like, that's
like Boogie Nights can be really funny. Like Magnolia, There Will Be Blood aren't as much. This one is, and then like Inherent Vice is great. It's in my opinion, his weakest movie, but it's still really funny. I think it's we watched that recently too, and the same friend had read the source material and said it doesn't work as a movie, and that's a whole other conversation. But even his weakest movie is still a good movie with a lot of great stuff.
He is, he's just funny. It's very talented. I still need to see Licorice Pizza. I haven't.
It's good. It's much different than what you'd expect, and I appreciated it more than I like it.
Okay.
But some people, I don't want to just throw out the don't get it argument, but it really is they're failing to see what the movie's about. They just kind of call it boring and meandering. It's like, well, I don't think it's boring, and the meandering, it's not supposed to be plot driven. Mm-hmm. It's a hangout movie.
That makes sense.
It's kind of
I feel like. I was gonna say, I feel like a lot of his movies are very meticulous, like the way they're made. Like Like, just that's what I dig about. That's why I know it takes him so long. It's like, what we were talking about recently, like, what, it's like 4 or 5 years usually between projects. Like, that's a long, like, I feel like that's...
Sometimes it's a short gap. From The Master to Inherent Vice was only 2 years.
Interesting.
So that was shorter, but...
Well, because, like, I feel like when you can just take the time and, like, you're not pumping out movies like other places and other studios tend to pump out things and their tends to get lower. He takes the time, and you can tell. You can absolutely tell when he takes the time to make something.
Yeah. And that's all I really can say about Punch Drunk Love, because it's a big feeling movie. You just feel so good. Is
it one of those ones like where there's not like a horror? Because like I said, I've seen a couple scenes and I've seen the intro up until they dropped off the thing, and then that's where if something happened, I had to go over. But
yeah, it's one of those, like, it's not necessarily plot driven, but there are multiple things going on that weave together really well.
Okay, that makes sense.
He's so good in this. The thing about Adam Sandler, I've talked to people about this in the past.
He's an interesting guy.
Even in his bad roles, there's something human and relatable about him that people like. I don't understand it either, but something like Grown Ups.
Oh,
I don't like Grown Ups. I think it's a bad movie, but there's something about him that feels like someone you've hung out with. You don't hate him. And then you watch some of his better work, and it's like, yeah, if he's in the right project, you can see it. And in Uncut Gems,
oh my god,
he feels human, all right.
That's one way to put it.
But he's just, you see this person that is just so seemingly stupid, and then you peel back the layers of, no, he's addicted to the adrenaline rush he gets from making these bets.
Mm-hmm.
He's in way over his head. That's what it's about. It's not him just being dumb. And I think there's something about Adam Sandler's acting that connects to people. Otherwise, he wouldn't be.
The man's making so many movies and so much money. People gotta love him for something. You probably hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what it is. And this one,
I think he even was a little intimidated to be working with PTA because he had watched Magnolia before.
To be fair, I feel like any actor is gonna like, I gotta bring my A game on this one.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's his best performance. I don't think he'll ever top it.
That's fair. It's gonna be hard to top.
And neither
when
of you
work
have
with.
Seen it.
Like I said, I've seen a couple clips from it here and there. I've seen the beginning, but never the whole thing through. But you said it's only 96 minutes. I think I need to sit down and watch it now because it's that short and easy to get in.
Phantom Thread is on Netflix if that helps.
I do know that.
Punch Drunk Love's on HBO Max.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, and I don't remember if There Will Be Blood is on anything. You can watch it. But if you want to watch Phantom Thread or any of those, you can just tune into streaming. So Jared, this has been a great episode. Where can people find us if they enjoyed our stuff?
Not a very funny episode, though.
Good. I think we had some good conversations, but not exactly.
You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
You better tell them where to go where they can get their shot of funny.
Oh, you son of a...
Yes. If you want to see clips other than Philip Seymour Hoffman yelling "shut up" into a phone,
or dancing around a room full of naked women with one pregnant woman as I
a roving, or if you can do spit takes like Dickey just did, you can go to our funny TikTok.
Yeah!
Please like and subscribe and ring our bell on YouTube. We appreciate it.
I like the ring our bell line. It's very
literally
good.
what they're doing. You can also listen to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher, I believe.
And don't forget, leave us reviews. We'd love to hear if you like us. If you don't, then don't leave any reviews.
And check these movies out. All three of them are fantastic.
Yes, they are. So, from all of us here at All Slate Media, make sure to stay tuned every week for more episodes of our favorites, of Bite Size, of whatever else we're going to think of. We just keep coming up with good stuff, so stay tuned. Anyway, thank you for listening to today's episode. From all of us, thank you for watching and listening. We will see you later.
Drainage!